This morning I'm pleased to introduce our keynote speaker, Brad Flickinger. After high school, Brad left for Australia on a walkabout, and after a couple of years, he must have figured things out because he came back and married his high school sweetheart and began his career in the newspaper industry. After 7 years as the publisher/owner of 3 weekly newspapers, Brad saw the writing on the wall with regards to the internet and sold his newspapers and retired to Costa Rica with his young family. Brad soon became bored of surfing and decided to teach third grade at a private English school. He must have been doing something weird if he's bored of surfing. After teaching for a while, Brad felt that he needed to get back to the States and return to the publishing business, which by this time had started to collapse. So Brad went over to the dark side and managed a web design firm in Seattle. Brad soon realized that a cubicle tech farm was not for him. He wanted back in the classroom. So he left the tech business before the bubble burst in 2000 and returned to the classroom as a high school business ed teacher. By this time, his wife Monique had started her career as a principal. She had become one of them. And after a few years, he also became one of them as the director of technology for his district. But Brad couldn't stay away from the classroom, so he returned to the classroom, which he calls his dream job. Brad teaches technology at Bethke Elementary in northern Colorado. His students produce the longest running and most popular student podcast on iTunes. His student-made movies have had over 230,000 online views, and he has just received the 2012 Leadership Award from EdTech Digest for his blog, schooltechnology.org, that gets over 70,000 visitors a month. Podstock family, I give you Brad Flickinger.
I love that bio. Reminds me who I am. That's great. I think I'm a little loud on that one. Thank you. Okay, so today's the day I am going to share with you all of my secrets. So I'm not going to be unique anymore. I'm not going to be the guy that can do those amazing things with students because we open up the bag today. But I'm not going to give it to you easily. So before we do that, you have to hear my sad story because I like to be a storyteller. I love my students to be storytellers. That's why we're filmmakers and podcasters and things like that. So you have to put up with my sad story. All right, so this is the image I picked for it. Let me get going here. Come on. There we go. Look at this sad. We have the sad teacher with the sad student. But look, there's technology around them. And this is kind of how I was feeling 4 years ago because I came home about 4 years ago last month. And I came home and I announced to my wife, I'm like, that's it. I'm done. I am done teaching. I'm going to spend the summer finding a new job, and I'm going to do something else. And I know that some of you have been there, okay? So now my wife, she's a turnaround expert in school, so she's used to teachers maybe having these kind of meltdowns. So she's like, that's okay, honey. You know, what's going wrong? I'm like, it's just not what I signed up for. And she's like, well, you know, can you explain a little bit of that to me? And I just became consumed with this idea about this question here. Does using technology make better teachers? Because I'm a tech guy, you know, I just left the tech business and the publishing business, and I really love technology, but it's, like I said, it wasn't what I signed up for. I wanted more from the technology, and since I'm so visual, I started to draw things like this to her. I was saying, well, if this is me here, I'm an elementary teacher, so I can draw things, you know, on the board. And I got my hands on my hips because I'm a little bit, you know, distraught with things. And so here I am, and look, they've given me this you know, technology. I have computers, and it was supposed to be great. I was supposed to really have fun with that because I've waited my whole life for this. I've waited since my high school photo that you see in your yearbooks. I wanted to have technology everywhere. And so I'm there, but guess what? The state of Colorado comes along and says, yeah, you know that technology you got there, Mr. Flick? We want you to do some state testing with it. So, you know, we got state testing going in there. Of course, we got national testing going on in here. We got these awesome things called standards. who likes reading standards? I mean, holy cow, every time I read a standard, I'm just like, what? What does that really mean? And then also, because now we're in the new millennium, we have 21st century skills. We're 12 years into the new millennium. We're 12 years into the 21st century. We can define them. No one really knows what they look like, but can you take care of that with your technology as well? And by the way, yeah, you over here, we're going to give you little or no training because we don't really know what to tell you about these things. Oh, in elementary school, well, it's no curriculum for you too. So do you see what I'm saying when I came home all upset with my wife? I'm just like, how am I supposed to do anything with this? What I got. That wasn't the fun things. And so I this question just kept bugging me and just like, I don't know. I don't see myself as a better teacher. In fact, I had just had a review for my principal and she didn't give me a very good review. So, I mean, I was so sad. I was licking all my wounds and I was having my own pity party. And then my wife's like, well, what about your students? What do your students think of all this stuff? Well, look at the student in this shot. I mean, that student seemed very happy to be there. I mean, that wasn't what I was promised with technology. So this is the question I had also. I'm like, does using technology make our students more engaged? That was the next big question. So I had read all the little articles. I'm going to draw. Hey, look, the student looks just like the teacher. There's my student. And look, the student has I shouldn't have erased that other one. I could have been done half the time here. All right, so the student has the computer there, and I was promised things that they were supposed to be natives. Remember that article? Yeah, they were supposed to. I'm the immigrant. They're supposed to be the natives. So they were supposed to just get this technology and do amazing things with it. Things that were just going to revolutionize the world. They were going to make, movies and podcasts and all those things that Bloom's digital taxonomy said they love to do, like wikiing, whatever verb that is. But they were supposed to do that too, and reports and presentations that didn't want me to poke my eyes out, because we've all seen enough of those, right? Don't you just want to send a little card to Microsoft sometimes? Just like, thank you for adding the screeching tire sound effect to PowerPoint. Because, I've not quite heard that enough. Or the typewriter sound, or things like that. So here are our students, and they were supposed to be engaged, remember? This big word. They were supposed to be engaged with technology. But you know what? Technology can bore us to tears. They never told us that. But if I wanted to, I could take the rest of the 30 minutes I have, and we could review doing bullet points in Microsoft Word. And guess how many of you would be engaged? Like 2 of you. You'd be like, yeah, this is perfect. This is why I came to Podstock. I'll finally be able to do bullet points. But no. So guess what? We can bore them to tears with technology. And so, does using technology make our students more engaged? No, it doesn't. Right now, Mike's like, I hired this guy to be our keynote speaker. It's just, I'm winding him up for you, Mike. There we go. All right. So those are the concerns I have, and it really amounts to this next slide here, where we have disenfranchised teachers with disengaged students, and that was what I was facing 4 years ago. And my wife, being the person who somehow has loved me for all these years since high school, suggested that I go and do a camp that was up in Casper, Wyoming for young kids in 5th grade and 6th grade. And I think it was also a way of like, well, you can earn us a little bit more money, and since you're deciding to quit your job, maybe you can make a little more money for us. So I go up there, and it changed things for me, and I really saw how things could be, because I was able to teach what I wanted to teach, and I could do things at a camp environment with kids, and I really, really loved it, and they really saved my bacon, as it were, for doing that. So I came back to the classroom. I never did resign, and I decided that this was going to be my holy grail of my work. I was going to figure out how technology could make our students more engaged, and so that was going to be it. Now, what I realized is that I had lost my passion for teaching. And what I wanted was students to gain a passion for learning. So I was really fixated on this idea of how does someone become passionate? That was really the work of the research that I began to do, and to look into those kind of things. So now for your entertainment, I will show you just how good I am at doing this and I'm going to do a mind reading trick. Okay, so let me get some music playing here. Nancy, can you come up and run my sound effects for me? Nancy, please. She's like, trust me, she just got the good job. All right. Yeah, yeah, woohoo. Let me get a microphone here. I don't think that's loud enough. Let me get a little more audio to it. Yeah, let's just go here. Check. Yeah. Who's rocking Podstock now, huh, Kevin? All right. So I need, just by raise of hand right now, how many of you have a strong passion for something? I think that's a little loud. So right next to driving rock, there's a little, yeah, there we go. How many of you have a really strong passion for something that it's either like a hobby or something that you really love to do? So raise your hand. So something. Now I'm going to ask some of you, I don't want that passion to be teaching or your family, okay? I get that you probably have a passion for teaching or your family. So, but something that's a hobby, that's something that you like to do, that if someone knew you, they could really define you by this passion. So raise your hand if you have one of those things, okay? All right, good. Okay, so we got around the room. Okay, now, raise your hand if you're one of those passionate people that doesn't mind coming up here to have your mind read for a little bit. I need someone that'll interact with me. All right, so we got some in here. Sorry, I'm using my mind control thing to try to figure things out here. So I'm going to pick on you right here on the white. Yeah. All right, and your name, please?
Rhonda, your hand.
Rhonda, come on up here with me. Okay, Rhonda, you have a mic. So I already have a mic. Okay, so this is how it's going to work. So we will play the key one sound effect will be my mysterious mind reading sounds. And then, yeah, there it is. Good, thank you. I guess we'll play it now. And then, if it's good. If I get it right, can you do the green? But no, you can leave it playing. You can leave it playing. That's good. It's on a loop. Okay. I don't know why it's not doing anything now, though. That's the right answer sound, yeah. And then if I get the wrong answer, it's like a game show. So work with me, okay? Really work with me. Mind to mind, work with me here. Okay, so let's get the sound effects for my mind reading trick. All right, I have cold hands today. I'm going to hold your wrist, okay? My wife, when I do this, she's like, please just hold the wrist, okay? All right, so here we go. We're doing it. So think of your passion. Don't tell me what it is. Otherwise it doesn't work very good. All right, so here we go. You got it?
I've so got it.
Okay, so your passion, I'm going to go right back to the beginning of your passion, okay? Your passion, you got into it because you saw like another person doing it. You perceived it as fun. You wanted to do it. Is that right?
That is so correct.
Oh yes, good. Yes, I'm here all week. Okay. All right. The next thing. No. Okay.
So
hold. Have we ever met or discussed this beforehand?
Never discussed.
Because they're starting to think this is rigged. Okay. Where are you from?
Clay Center, Kansas.
Oh, good. Going to the dance tonight?
I am so going to the dance tonight.
Okay. All right. So next thing that came along, and it turned out that you saw that it was fun and everything, and then you wanted to know. Oh, you asked questions. That's what you did. You wanted to know more about it, like how long it takes, or what do you have to do to get it, those kind of things. Is that right?
That is so right. You are so good.
All right. Woohoo. All right. So next, so you did that, and then you realized you liked whatever the answers were that you perceived, that you were willing then to put in the time to either, I don't know if it was go to school or learn the skills or do whatever it took to get there where you need to go. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah, I'm on fire, and you guys don't even know it up here on the front here. I've had this go terribly wrong. All right, and the last thing, and I'll stop holding your hand, is that...
It's my wrist, but that's okay. Do I have a good pulse?
It's fantastic. I'm not holding it too tight because I am still really cold-handed. Your last thing is that early on through this time where you were putting in the time to get the skills and to do that you had some bit of success, that someone had either given you positive feedback or that you had something happen that said you wanted to go further with this. Is that right? Work with me on this.
That is so right.
Good. All right. Thank you. Can you please tell everybody what your passion was and how you did it?
My passion is landscaping and working outside.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm all done with you there. Now, obviously, I'm a sham. I don't really know how to mind read, but I wanted to really bring across the idea that we can break down how someone can become passionate about things. And so I really wanted to look on this idea of how we can use technology to find a student's passion. And I'm really here to tell you that, that I found it in the most unusual places for me, and that is I found it in sports. And anybody who knows me knows that I am a true geek, okay? My wife, who loved me back in high school and still continues to love me today, loves me, and I don't play any sports. I have a son. I didn't teach him how to play sports. I know nothing about sports, which maybe is why I was able to have such an insight to be able to figure this thing out. And so I watched sports, and I was able to really get to the point where I'm telling you that I have found my holy grail. I have figured it out, and I'm going to share that with you this morning. Now, you might be going, oh, Mr. Flick, talk is cheap. Do you got any proof before you waste the rest of our time here? Do you got anything? I'm like, I'm going to show you some proof right now. Like many elementary schools, we have a morning news. And I have been in many elementary schools, and I have sat through morning newses, and I knew what I didn't want. I knew I wanted to have something, and I will explain to you how I got to this point. But I want you to watch this. And it might start off like a normal morning news show. You might be like, oh, okay, these kids reading a script and everything. But the boy Grady doing this came to our program very shy, very introverted, had a hard time in the classroom, and ends up just, you'll see he leaves script. Now what you're seeing here is a student-run news show. I have no interaction. I am the film guy. I can teach filmmaking. I just am a horrible camera operator. I just took the flip camera in one day, didn't realize what I was going to catch, and this is what you see here. So, but you will see we have a producer, we have a third grade sound tech, we have other people, and they do have sound effects, but since we're in the studio, they hear the sound effects in their headphones. You're not going to hear them on the tape, okay? So here we go.
No, sorry about that delay, but good morning, Bobcats. This is Grady, Nicholas, and Bob the Puppet of the K-Bob Morning News in Bethke Elementary in Timnath, Colorado. This is episode 310, and today is Wednesday, September 21st, 2011.
That's the opening intro music that we have. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
All right, let's start with some announcements. Chess Club starts this Thursday before school at 7:30 in the Media Center. Picture Day is tomorrow. This Thursday after school is the Hip Hop Dance Challenge. It's time to get your groove on. Watch me move. Bob,
Yes.
what will the weather be like at lunch today? 60 and very sunny. Yay. The hot lunch for today is whole grain corn dog, colossal cheeseburger on a heart-healthy wheat bun. Heart-healthy cheeseburger. Or chef salad. What happened on this day in history? On this day in history, 2008, Yankee Stadium closed after 85 years. Wow. Go Red Sox! Go! Red Sox! I like the old one better, though. Oh, well, okay, Nicholas. It's time for you to go weird but true.
Did you know that New Zealand has more sheep than people?
Wow! What? What the heck?
Sheep.
Looks like sheep are invading New Zealand. Population levels. Soon, the sheep will take over the world. Bob,
That's gonna be fun.
Bob, do any Bobcats have birthdays today? We have 2 birthdays. Lahin S. and Claire H.
The sound effect goes, happy birthday in the background.
Birthday! Happy birthday! Yay! Thanks for listening. This is Grady, Nicholas, our producer, Rachel, our sound tech, Maximo, and Bob the Puppet, reminding all Bobcats to be our best. Now please stand for what we like to call the Pledge of Allegiance in America.
There we go. Now, I hope that none of you doubt whether that young boy Grady has a passion now to be doing things in front of other students. And you will see him pop up later on in a movie as well. But he has really got it, as well as Nick and the other students that are here. Rachel, the girl that's the producer, has produced amazing things for our school ever since she was in about 3rd grade. She has really done some things, all the way up to working with Jeff Corwin on a program that he produced. She was able to do some things with him as well. And so she is really doing some amazing things. And I've been accused of either saying, well, Brad, that's because it's either you or this, or it's because you have a brand new school, or maybe it's just social economic background of your students, or it's luck, or these kind of things. And I was concerned about that. Well, what if it's just lightning in a bottle? You know, what does that really mean? So I wanted to really make sure that I could follow, or that other people could also follow, this path to EdTech success. What is the path that we go on? And if we go back to my mind reading trick, you can kind of see what I did here. Let me switch over to a different marker here. No, I don't like the blue one because I don't like how that one erases, so maybe we'll stick with the black one here. All right, so I I knew I wanted to kind of have a way that we would take our student over here, our student's with his hands on his hips and he's bored. We wanted to get that student all the way over to this side over here, where has an apparently really long neck, but oops, doesn't have 3 legs there. I normally draw them like this, like they're doing, you know, big. So they're passionate. So how do we get a bored student to being a passionate student, and somehow not base it? That was my big question mark. Not base it on things like programs. I mean, really, do we need another program in education right now? I've got like 5 hanging over my head that I'm supposed to be doing right now. So we don't need another program. We don't need another way to do lesson plans. We don't need that. We just need something, and not base it on money, not base it on social economic things that we do. We need to do something, and so this is the steps that I take to get there. The first one is curiosity. And if I spell anything wrong, I'm just going to blame it on the fact that I'm Canadian and we spell things differently up there all the time. So if I spell something wrong, you just work with it. Curiosity. Curiosity is the very first thing. If you're taking notes, this is the thing you're going to write down. Curiosity is the very first step. With any passion, you've got to get them curious. So if we go back to sports, so what I saw was a 2nd grade student come out to the playground when I was on supervision and saw other 2nd graders playing basketball and was just interested, you know, just like, well, curiosity has a sense of fun to it, and it has a sense of realism. And I didn't realize that sports has always had this going for them. The sports the students do uses the exact same stuff the professionals use. There's a basket, there's a backboard, there's a ball. They all look the same as the ones that they've seen on TV that dad watches and mom watches and all those things like that. So it has a sense of fun, it has a sense of reality to it. And if that is something that gets them, then it will lead to the next step, which is interest. Interest is where the inquiry happens. The questions start to happen. How do you dribble a ball? Why do they have to stand over there? How do you make a shot? You know, so you have those inquiry. And we talk a lot about having inquiry at school, but that's what we're going on to here, is how do they do things, as well as they get an idea for the purpose. So it's like, oh, we're playing this because, or we're doing this because. And also, this is the key thing, they have a self-visualization of success in it, okay? That they can somehow see that they will make the winning basket someday. That the crowds will cheer for them, or that their friends, because that's all they're seeing right now, are just their friends will cheer for them, but they know what it means. And so they have that self-visualization that is very powerful. And if we had time, we could go into the psychology behind all this, but we don't. Just trust me on this or look it up later. There really is. This is why we don't take 9-year-olds to horror movies, okay? Their little minds can't tell the difference between the playground basketball court and the one in the big stadiums and things like that. So that's what's really interesting about that. So they self-visualize, and then they will make, finally, the investment. This is where they'll put their time into it. This is why the 15-year-old wakes up at 5 in the morning to get to 5:30 swim practice, okay? Those are things that got me. What drives that young student to do that? Sometimes, sure, it's a parent that's like going, well, you know, when I was your age, I was already captain of the football team, so you got to do this. And, you know, that does happen. But there are a lot of kids that are doing it self-motivated. They're going to their own piano practices. They're doing it. They've got the drive to do it. And that's what was really intriguing me with all this. And so they will put the time, they'll put mom and dad's money into it. I need pads, I need Nike shoes, I need all those things. And as well as physical and emotional, their failures will happen in this stage, and they will still work beyond those failures. That's okay for them. And if all those things work out, and if they're lucky enough to get this point here of success, and it just has to be a taste of success, that's what will continue them on, okay? And we don't give this to students. We can, I'm going to get into that later on. But if it happens early enough, and if it's real, they perceive it as real success. It's not just a gold star. It's something, they get positive feedback, and it has real purpose and a real audience to it. And not that everybody has to be the star in the center stage, I discovered. When it's that student that runs the light board for the drama show, and that applause happens for those people up on stage, they inherit that applause. They know that it was because of their light work or their sound work or they don't have to be the person up front. They can still inherit that, and they get that success. So when the whole production was good, they have that happen, and that makes them feel really good. And if you have those things, that will lead to a passionate student that will do amazing things for you, okay? And now let's talk about that. Sometimes they get really good at something, but it's not their passion. They might get all the way there, but they really don't turn it into a passion. They're like, you know, I was really kind of good, Mr. Flick. I enjoyed doing that, but I'm ready to move on to something. And that's okay, because when you follow this, you enjoy the journey. It was all fun. Even all the sweat and the tears that come into it. When I do auditions for my movies and kids don't get the main roles, I mean, they go home crying. It hurts them. But they work through it, and we talk about it, and they work on to other things, and it happens. But they enjoy the journey, even if it comes with some things that happen in the way. And now, I teach 470 students a week in my elementary school. So do I get 100% passion in my tech classes? No, I obviously don't. But together, we can start to find these passionate students. We can start to make passionate students. So I work with my 4th grade team, my kindergarten team, all these things, so that we can give them the type of success. Because also, it has been proven time and time again, if a student feels success in one area of their life, they will be successful in other areas of their life. So Grady comes to me, and he suddenly is our #1 person, our host in the morning news, and now everything's working great for him at school. He's working better in his classrooms, he's doing great things. And we've seen this with sports. Suddenly, if that student is great in soccer, then they start to pull up their bootstraps in other subject matters as well. And it's amazing to watch that happen. So no, I don't have 100%, but I also do teach technology. I mean, come on, how hard is that? The kids come skipping down the hallway to my class. They love coming to tech class. So it's not like I'm teaching math or something like that. So, all right. So let's take a look at some of the things my students are doing here. All right. So we are big into claymation. So we have a claymation program that I work with my art teacher. And again, we do all these things. We make sure that it piques their curiosity, that we have things. You go on, and if you Google like Pharaoh's Quest on YouTube, you will see the movie we made just last spring has over 18,000 hits on it. And it's a Lego animation movie that we did. So these kids, you talk about having success and a real audience, these kids know it because they do great work which perpetuates that. Here's just a little set that they're using for this. And when we talk about investment here, whoever thought the kids would sit there for hours and take photos? Animation is slow. It's boring even. But you know what? You pique their curiosity. You answer those questions right under the interest column. They will put in the time. 10 frames a second. That movie that has over 18,000 hits is 9 minutes long. You do the math on how many frames it is. That's a lot of work. And here they are. They're in the studio doing the recording for the audio parts of their animations. We use, of course, just Audacity that you see here that many of you have used before. When we get into filmmaking, because their minds are so malleable that we can change their ideas and their thinking on things, that I make sure to have success that everything looks the way it should look. So I got my brand new school, but I got to tell you honestly, I didn't get anything more than the computer lab they gave me. I have fundraised and begged and borrowed and stolen to get the things that these students will perceive as being real in their life. So we use lights. We use tripods. That is our young director, a 3rd grade director, telling his actor how to perform this scene, okay? It's like, I want you to do it like this. And because we believe in it having a perception of reality, when they write the scripts, we use Hollywood format right there. And we just Googled it. I don't know, how does a script look in Hollywood? Well, you write it all in Courier 12. That's somebody else coming into my show here. And so, and does this cost any money? No, it doesn't cost any money, but it took investment on the teacher's side to be able to say, okay, what does it look like in Hollywood? So our scripts look real. And in Hollywood, they do storyboarding, so our kids have to storyboard every shot before they do it. And we also are now using iPads. Everything we do now is filmed on an iPad. So we film on the iPad, we edit on the iPad, we add sound effects, we do all those things on the iPad. And so here's our crew together. You can even see our board girl over here in the corner. She's just like, well, okay. But she'll put in the time because she wants to inherit in that. Because in the next slide is when her time came up. She was our makeup expert. Because we're filming right here the Ghost of Bethke, which was written by Catherine, a 5th grade student. Because all of our movies are based upon dramatic writing in our school. We have a dramatic writing contest in 5th grade. If you are the student that is voted on by the class as being the best one, then we make it into a movie. So how do you like that for an authentic audience? So that really drives it. And this is our 3rd year doing it. It's absolutely amazing the kind of stories we get in. So Catherine writes this beautiful one called The Ghost of Bethke. That when we realized we needed a ghost, and have a ghost, we needed makeup and all this. And so one of the girls was like, I can do makeup. I'm like, okay, well, let's do makeup. So we trusted, and she did a great job. And so I'm going to now premiere for you The Ghost of Bethke. It's about a 6-minute movie for you. There we go.
Hey, did anybody remember the book on Canada?
I thought Zoe was supposed to bring it.
Oops, it's still in the media center. I'll go get it.
Well, hurry up. I can't believe she forgot it.
The book on Canada. Russia, China, North America. Canada! Finally, I'm looking for this.
No screaming in the library. Yeah, look who gets a part in the movie. No running in the library.
Guys.
What took you so
I
long?
just saw a ghost.
Yeah, right. Get
What?
it.
What are you talking about?
Sure.
I'm not joking. There's a ghost in the library.
Yep.
Okay, quit messing around, Zoe. Now, where's the book?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to tell you. I was about to get the book, and I heard a noise behind me. I turned around, and I saw a ghost looking right back at me.
Nice excuse. You should have just gotten the book. Oh my gosh. Everyone, the pencil's floating. I bet it's just a prank.
Don't look at the strings.
Okay, I'm starting to believe you guys now. I wonder what it wants. I want to be a student. Well, isn't that a silly idea? Well, great. You just offended the ghost.
All right, Grady. Why do you want us here so early in the morning?
Okay, guys. We've got one shot to find that ghost. I'm almost positive it needs our help. That's why I brought in Paranormal John. He's the ghost expert of that. I got this one. Come here, ghosty, ghosty, ghosty. No. Let me show you how it's done. Come here, ghosty, ghosty. Come here. Now you guys do it. Come here, ghosty. Come here, ghosty, ghosty. Hey, ghost. Sorry we got off on the wrong foot yesterday, ghost. It was my first experience dealing with ghosts.
What do you guys want?
You know, ghost, we all really want to help you. But why would you ever want to be a student?
Because I'm bored. I hate just ghosting around. I want to be a student, work on a school project. Are you guys working on one now?
Do you want to help us do the Canada project?
Yes.
This ghost is weird. It actually wants to do schoolwork.
Okay, Ghost, but if we're gonna pass you off as a student, we've really gotta do something about those clothes. You know what that means? Ghost Makeover! Come with us, Ghost. Morgan, go get Brooklyn and tell her to meet us in the classroom. Now.
Okay. I found her. What's the big emergency?
We met this ghost today, and she really wants to be a student. Brooklyn, do you think you could make her look like one? Come on, look at her!
I'll do it. It'll be my greatest makeover. So, where goes everything is? I have some clothes in there that you can go try out. Go, go, go.
Are you sure I look like a student?
Yes, I'll wait here. How about this? Not bad. Well, we could do better. Go do it. How about this? No. Go try the next one. How about this? You actually look like a student. I'm just the greatest makeover expert here at Bethke. I'm just glad we finally got this over with.
Good morning, Mrs. Bruin. Have you met our new student, Claire?
Well, no, I haven't. It's so nice to meet you.
She just moved from Seattle, so she's a little, they don't get this.
Welcome to Bethke. I can't wait to have you in my class.
Hey, girls. Hey, John.
You thought you got a Facebook page or something?
What's a Facebook?
There is the Ghost of Bethke. So our budget was $35. We spent $30 of it on the costume for the ghost and then another $5 on makeup and things like that. But when my students premiere that, and you do as an audience the things that you've just done, you've laughed at the right places, you giggled, you did this, I cannot tell you what it does for my students to see that, as well as for my up-and-coming filmmakers that see that as well. So I'm already piquing the curiosity of the students all the way down into kindergarten about wanting to do this. When they are that interested in doing things, we have large crews that make these movies because I want all these kids to be involved to see how it all happens so that we can make more and more and do amazing things with them. And we're going to bring in documentary filmmaking this next year and those type of things where the students are really going to go out and do more and more filmmaking in my school. It's going to be absolutely amazing to see. All right, so to talk about a couple of the other projects that we do, here is one in my school called Lego We Do. And I live in a very unique area in northern Colorado where I'm surrounded by new development, and we have an Intel office complex there that's massive, and HP, as well as a lot of other tech firms. So all these kids go home to these engineering parents that then have really put the pressure on us for their kids to develop a lot of their tech skills. So I do live in a little bit of a bubble there that we're having a lot of push on our end. And when my principal hired me, that's what she kind of said. She said, listen, we're under a lot of pressure. We've just built this brand new school, and these these parents want their kids to have tech skills. And what on earth are we going to do for programming? I don't know, but let's do this. And so we get Lego We Do. And so here are first graders. They got the Legos there, and they're starting to put things together. And actually, they use block programming, and they get it, and they'll tell the little motors to do stuff, and the Legos connect to the front of the computers through USB. And I wanted to really demonstrate this with two first grade girls. Okay, so right now they're blowing past the little box that we have them. They're girls playing with Legos. Okay, so we're breaking the gender box that they're in, as well as they're going to do programming and things like that. And they're working collaboratively. And you will see this little pair work together. The little girl in black has decided she really is still uncomfortable with doing things. This is only their second project they've ever done. And so she really just wants to run the computer and maybe go get parts and stuff. Where the other girl, the girl in the blue there, she wants to build it. She wants to get going, and it works for them. Their little symbiotic relationship that they have works really good. Now I want you, Now, just like when I showed you the insight into the K-Bob studio, you saw no interaction from me. I don't come in there and tell the students what they need to say or how they need to do things. You watch for how much interaction you get in this high-speed film that we do of Lego we do in my classroom here. This is a 45-minute period condensed down to 2 minutes. So they've already learned things like how to measure Legos. They count how many studs are in the top of them. And they're watching on the screen the, can you turn down the audio to this a little bit? Yeah, number 5 there. They're watching on the screen the instructions. So when you talk about a flipped classroom, this is basically it. They're watching, they're in my classroom though. Sometimes flipped, we want to send them home. But it's flipped in there. So I can differentiate. I can go to students that need a little bit of help, give them that little mentoring that they might need. And I will come and help them here and now and then just to check on things to make sure that they're doing okay. But they're doing really great here. They're just flying right along there. I stepped in just to see how you girls doing. That was about it. And it's kind of a wide shot, and you can't see my whole class, but how's the engagement in this class? Do you think I got any discipline issues in here? Classroom management issues? None. It is just amazing. And these are first graders that are doing this. They're taking this on. And she's building a top spinner is what she's building. Oh, hands up. Her hand is up, still hand up. She must have come over to my desk and gave up on me trying. Oh, there you go. You just need to do this, and then now you're back on that step. And I'm over helping some other students. That's the one nice thing about a flipped classroom is that you can really, really work with those that need the help. And the other ones that can just go as fast as they want to go, they just zoom right along and do it all. Every now and then she'll be like, we need this part. And then you'll see the little girl in black take off and go get the part. We have a big cabinet of Legos in the back of the room that they have to pick from if it's not in their kit. And you'll also notice that the girl in black kind of verifies everything that's being built. She will check things, she'll make sure that it's all the right pieces on the right side. And oh, there she goes. Got another part. Oh, go get that part. She gave her the little index of different parts. Go get Mr. Flick and get this part. She's building the top now for us. She's got the spinner built, now she's just building the top. Remember, this is 45 minutes. So have I lost the class yet? Started to mess around? No, they're all still in it. Now, stereotypically, we would think the boys in the background would already have this done by now, because, you know, they're boys. They've already been playing with Legos. But no, she's almost done. Now she's building the programming. She's just now adding the blocks to the programming to tell it to spin, and then to use the motion sensor that when you lift it up, it stops spinning. It turns off the motor, and here we are. She's about ready to give it a go. The boys in the background are still building. And she's like looking around like, someone please look over here. We're doing this. It is spinning. We've done it. There's your taste of success right there. They've had their taste of success. Now, for me and my job, now they go home. Well, what did you do today at class, Sally? Oh, we were just programming some things. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, we had to program this loop in about if it'd spin until the loop was broken when the motion sensor would detect that we lifted off the spinner. Meanwhile, the parents are picking themselves off the floor like, we've just sent our kids to the greatest school in the world, to the greatest tech teacher in the world. Let's go get him a Best Buy card. Here we're doing a little bit of video game design. We're using the free program Scratch. We're moving on to a different programming this next year, but here she is. The academics behind it is the food web of the ocean, and so she's building a shark-fish game where the shark eats the little fishes and those kind of things. With my background being in publishing and in the newspaper business, I decided I wanted children reporters, and so I don't like writing the blog for our newspaper our school, so I want to do it. Well, in the newspaper business, you have press credentials. That's what gets you into the back of concerts. It gets you into everything you want to go to. I wear these when I go to ISTE because then I can go to every room I want to go to at ISTE. But this is what they look like. If you ever see my true press credentials that come from the association, it looks almost just like this. I swear my kids could probably pass themselves off of that. And it gives them that element of reality. Remember, it's all about fooling their little brains. And you can still do this to high schoolers. I don't want any of you high school teachers and principals out there going, oh, well, you know, he's got them while they're young. You can still do this to them. A little bit of it wears off, but by the time you're my age, it's all worn off, and you become sarcastic. But anyhow, so here it is. Really great idea until the very first day we were covering the very first event of the school year last year. And do you know what happens when you put the word press on the front of an elementary kid? Mr. Flick, they're all touching me. So It wore off a little bit. Brass. And if you're on my press crew, you wear these tech crew t-shirts, these black t-shirts, make them look like little rock star roadie crews. And we did this because we do have kindergartners in our crowd, and if they suddenly see one student up walking around, then they think, oh, it's walk around time. So, but no, now they see the student and they see, oh, they've got a black t-shirt on, they're one of the tech crew, and they go wherever they want. They take photos, and they love being it because you don't have to sit cross-legged on the gym floor for an hour listening to a performance. They can do whatever they want. They take the photos, and they absolutely take amazing photos. The group that did this concert for us, they came back when they saw the photos our students published. They're like, can we have rights to those photos? We want to use some of those photos. Well, granted, we use the masses, but they've taken photography classes. But I think they handed in probably 1,500 photos that they did of the event. And by the numbers, I'll have something good there. But they are really great little photographers that do great work. And then they'll come back in later, and they come into the computer lab, and they write the stories that then go onto our blog. And then, I do this out of laziness. I didn't want to write the blog, and now it's student written. And our blog is read. Our school blog has traffic about 1,100 to 1,200 visitors a day because of our just being a high-tech school. We're watched by a lot of other schools, and so they kind of know that they have a lot of people that could be doing, reading their work and stuff. We also teach. I teach an archaeology club in my school, and so here we are out. This is just last month. We're out. We have dirt behind our school because we're in a new development. And so we're out there, and it's funny because I go down to Michael's to buy the materials, and I buy all the vases and all the things like that, and she's all like wanting to wrap them up in the paper, at Michael's and stuff. I'm like, no, just put it in the bag. I'm going to smash it and put it in the dirt in about 20 minutes. She's like, what do you do? But I wait for it to go on sale, and then we do it, and we take it in there. So I bury it all months in advance because I don't want it to look like, oh, it's like a fresh grave out here. No, I want it to look like it's just dirt. And we have to follow a GPS coordinates, and we finally find the scene, and then they have to stake off the scene. Well, this is not my first rodeo. I did it last year, and I realized you can't stake it out like a normal archaeological site because 9-year-olds in string is just a tripping hazard. They're going home with bruised knees and all these things, and so now we use an environmentally friendly paint, and we grid it all off. Again, when I start to think of a project, and because I obsess myself with what's the curiosity and how am I going to answer all the questions of those first 2 steps to really hook them, I research the dog out of these things, okay? I make sure if this is how Indiana Jones does it, this is how Mr. Flick is going to do it. So they do all this, and now they've got their little hats on because it's hot there in Colorado, not like this, but it's hot. And so we're starting to dig. Here's a little girl who came from the homeschooling community for our little camp, and this is her first success. She's so excited that she's found something in the dirt. And now we have to go back and we have to research that, and we have Wi-Fi out there in our dig site, and we have a little tent, and we look things up on the internet, and we talk Skype. We talk to an archaeologist at a nearby university, and he helps us with things. And they know that apparently that when you have to photograph things, you need to put a scale down on the ground so that you also need to show which direction is north. And so they clean it off with their little brushes, and they photograph it through the stages of them discovering it in the dirt, which is a little bit of training because the first thing they just see a little piece of something and they just want to rip it out of the dirt. And so we review all that, like, no, archaeologists, we have to do it this way. And so here they all are out there just digging in the dirt, doing things. And we've got funny, we sing songs when we're out there, and if you're not digging, you're not finding, and all those sorts of things. But, and we sift the dirt and all these things. They literally go home feeling like little Indiana Joneses. They do. They feel like little archaeologists. And here's another thing. We're doing some Lego animation. This is, again, with our one that has over 18,000 views just from last summer to now. But just look at their engagement. Look at the eyes. Look at this young. This is a student going into 2nd grade. So that puts them at a very young age doing the animation there. You can see his little colleague over there is just about to go into the other room and record his narration for his part of the story. Now, you see that there's a pop filter on the microphone on there? Do you think I really need a pop filter? No, but I've worked with my PTO to build a studio and to get the things in there, and real studios have pop filters. So my studio has a pop filter, and it does help. I mean, so I don't get the on these kind of things. But it's great because when he steps up to it, his little mind tells him this is real. And he brings his best game to it, okay? The reason I can get the work I can out of students is because they fool their little minds and they want to do the absolute best work. And here's just another shot I took just showing you some of the engagement that's going on here. There's a free thing that LEGO puts on called Bricks in Space, where there are there's scientists up on the International Space Station that have recorded videos of them doing experiments with simple machines that they've built with LEGO. And they do things up there that then the student does something down on Earth. And this is one of the students, Moss, and he is working on the math. You can see just in the background there's the scientist up there, and he's challenged him to figure out this, I think it's the space of an area and these type of things that he is now. You talk about an application for the math. He really wants to do it. And to see, because the scientist up there will be like working with the Lego, and then he'll just spin it, in microgravity, and the kids are like, oh, look at that. They really think that's cool. But that engages them, that they do amazing things with that. And I really am a walking ad for Lego. Look at these here. This is our Lego Nxt Programming, which we don't call Lego Nxt Programming because there wasn't a lot of curiosity to that. So we call it the Mayan Adventure. And so you come into our school and you build these little parts. And I built little sets here that I made look like Mayan tubes. This is just, I got some plywood and we put these together, and art department paints them all up to make them look like bricks out of a Mayan temple, and the little robot's got to go down the tunnel and turn. And then they're kind of multi-functioning because then we turn them on the sides, and then now they become little stages. This is another part of the tomb where the robot's got to go across a string and drop a pebble into a bucket, and it's sound activated, which is why the girl is in the background going like this. She doesn't want anybody to talk. And then here's a taste of success that you see is there. I've now got these three, hook, line, and sinker, ready to be little robotic engineers. They love it and stuff. And here's just another part. Again, every time I do something, I think, how can this look real? And this little robot's got to go into this little room of a temple and then circle the little artifact you see there around the black thing, and then bring it back out, as well as taking photographs of the other little artifacts that are in the corners over there. So that's how that's working. And here's some young students doing some of the other work that we have there. I am running out of time, so let me just show you some of these other things. Here's my studio. And for a studio to be real, I believe it must have a recording light in it. So we got a little recording light, as well as here's that girl Rachel from before with a little third grade sound tech. And you've seen Grady do his thing. As well as we have Bob the puppet. My principal somehow just trusts me, and she gets these reimbursement requests for, she's like, Brad, we've bought a puppet. I'm like, yeah, we got a puppet now. I think it's gonna be great. Can elementary kids do puppetry? I don't know, but we're gonna try it. And sure enough, they can. It turns out that they can do it. And you heard Bob. In the background, what you see is a very upset Fred the ficus. Fred only comes on every Thursday because it has question from Fred the ficus. And I know some of you plant people in here are like going, Brad, it's not a ficus. Well, that's what makes it funny. It's not a ficus. I get that, it's not a ficus. But every Thursday we have a question from Fred the ficus, because this is something I want to say, just because I make it real doesn't mean I don't make it age appropriate, okay? It doesn't have to look like the NBC studio, it has to still look like an elementary kid's studio. And so I do those kind of things, and there you can see Grady and Bob the puppet are working well together. Now as far as the future, so that was last year, and I've been scheming on things for the little bit here. And this is some of the things I've been scheming on, is I did a little prototype test on badges. Badges are a new thing that's coming into education. How do we reward students for gamification if they learn things? So here are badges. And what you can see here is this girl has one of the very coveted ones, which is a director's badge, which has like a director's horn kind of thing on it. And we only have 4 of those because we only do 4 movies a year. And then she's got a digital artistry, a digital camera for digital photography, and then a digital music one. And so she's earned her badges. We put them on backpacks. Well, in the normal talking about badges for rewarding students, it's always going on about how there'll be digital badges. Well, that doesn't work for an elementary kid because they don't have Facebook. They don't have a place to put the digital badges. But in an elementary school, what they did have was backpacks. And where backpacks hang are on the back of every classroom. So suddenly now it's a physical reminder to the teacher going, wait, my kids have tech skills. We're going to the Denver Museum. Timmy, you can do the photography because I see you have a photography badge. Sally, you can do the narration. We can do a podcast live from there. And she can just easily see what's going on with her students and their tech skills by just looking at their backpacks. Justin Bieber here participated in the program. And but he was one of my naysayers. He's like, Mr. Flick, I really don't want, when we're very back in September, when we were just starting to meet on Mondays to talk about this, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm like, well, just try it. And he had already earned some that he had already passed off to me. But then he came back and goes, no, on the bus ride home, these kids were asking me about it, and I want more of these. It came braggability to him. And we're looking for ways that motivate students in a way that's safe and nice. And he's got his video game design. That's like a video game controller that you see there, and some other ones that he's earned on his backpack. So, and then this is a posed shot. I needed one. It turned out I didn't have one of someone with a non-backpack. This little diva here, she doesn't have a backpack. She brings a bag to school, but it still works for that. You can't see them very well because of her polka dots, but she's got her podcasting one and some other ones there. So that's a new thing that we're coming into, and I'm doing a workshop after this on that where we're going to talk about that. But then, Kevin sucks me into his world, I don't know, Kevin, but last year when you gave me that 1-inch Podstock button, that's what started. I'm like, I'd looked at everything from Lance Armstrong wristbands to lanyards to all sorts of things, but you gave me that. I'm like, this is it. That was my missing thing last year. And I probably went away dancing, and you're like, freak from Colorado is doing something weird with that. But that's what it came like, 1-inch buttons, that's what it is. Well, then, I got the idea, from these digital jams. I'm like, so I go to my kids during an iPad camp that we were doing. I'm like, hey, I think we could do a band. Well, what do you know about music, Mr. Wood? I know nothing about music. In church, they're like, could you just please hum? Don't sing. And I'm like, no, I could do a band. So you can see me here. I got a mixer board. I'm Googling things on YouTube, how to use a mixer, how to do this, how to do that. Luckily, Wakana knew a little bit about music here, so she's doing the music. And my wife came along. I'm like, she's like, well, you need some sheet music. So let me back up here. So there's some sheet music that we have there. And it turns out you can take any song and break it down into the basic chords by just Googling it. You're like, easy chords for some song. And you can find that, and then they just play those chords on GarageBand, and they all come together. And I have a great respect now for music teachers because there's all these sounds coming at me. And then one of them, we just kind of turned down that slider because poor kid had no rhythm. But but he still got to perform. It was still great. We just turned it down a little lower. And so we needed someone to sing, and I'm going to finish with a couple of things here because we're done. We needed someone to sing. And this little girl named Logan said, Mr. Flick, I want to sing. Logan has been shy. I've taught her for years. And I'm like, Logan, you sure you want to do this? It's going to be up in front of people? Yeah. And then I've had kids that say they want to sing before, and they can't really pull off the singing and whatever. Logan gets up, and we're doing a cover of Firework from Katy Perry, and gives me goosebumps. So I get on the phone. I'm calling. I'm like, Melissa, what's the deal with Logan? She can really sing? No, Logan can't sing. I'm like, no, she can really sing. Call up her music teacher. I'm like, what's the deal with Logan? And she goes, I've never really heard her sing. She kind of goes to the choir, but she's a little mouse in the background. But it was safe enough that she felt she wanted to take this on. And our little I-band now performs all over Colorado. And we don't have the budget yet to be able to haul them all around. But so we got asked to do a teachers conference down in Denver. We've just done Thai, Colorado, up in Copper Mountain, Colorado. 900 teachers in the room. They get up there and they nail it. They just do it like nobody's business. I haven't gotten that video back yet from Denver Public Schools, but here's one that we did in Denver just 2 months ago. We didn't bring the whole band. We just brought Catherine, who wrote Ghost of Bethke, and she's just going to do a little acoustic, little cafe kind of performance. She's just going to play on GarageBand, and then Logan's going to sing, and I'll just do the first verse and a little bit of the chorus. Logan, you ready? Okay, you turn that up. Thank you.
So paper thin, like a house of cards, no from gaming in. Do you ever feel already very deep? 6 feet under school, and no one seems to hear a thing. Do you know that there's still a chance for you? 'Cause there's a spark in you. You just gotta ignite the light and let it shine. Just on the night, like the 4th of July. 'Cause baby, you're a firework. Come on, show 'em why.
There she is, Logan. I know. Okay, here's my wrap up. I teach because I am amazed by students. How I felt 4 years ago is not how I feel today. And I've left out the best part of all for last. All of this here, this arc, that line right there, is done by a crazed teacher, okay? You know the ones, the coaches, the teachers that are so passionate they come across as being crazy? That's what you want to be. If you were ever like me 4 years ago, I am here to tell you, you can trace back through these systems and you can find out why you got into teaching. What was the curiosity? Why did you do the investment? Those type of things. You answer those for yourself. It can turn your passion back on. I love my job every day. I am so entertained. I just, summers drive me crazy, but I get to go out to conferences and talk about them. And every time Logan sings for me, it just kind of gets me, and I cannot wait for school to start. It's just, I have so many ideas inside my head, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. If you are anywhere that you feel like you have lost your passion, I'm here to tell you, you can find it again. You can turn your job into the best job in the world. You can have the most fun. Everything that I do with my students, I usually start outside of the curriculum. It'll be a noontime, before school, after school. My principal will get an eye of it, and she'll like, this is great, and then she'll say, how can we incorporate that into the school day? And then we move it into the school day. So even if you're saying, but Brad, I teach this, I have all these standards to do, and I've got all this state testing, it doesn't matter. You can do other things. You can take little groups of your kids that do the things that you want to do. If it is hiking, if it is this, it is that, you can start clubs. Because do you know what I do for my day job all day at school? I mostly teach kids how to type. It doesn't make a good keynote, though. So I do that, but I will do all that because it gets me what I want to do, and I want to do these other things with my kids. Now you see also I do during the day, the Lego we do and all that. That's all incorporated into our curriculum now because of how well it worked. So that's the best news of all. To get this done always needs that coach. That person waking up at 5:30 in the morning goes to a coach that woke up at 5:30 in the morning and teaches them how to swim. And we can all be that. And it is just absolutely great to be with my family again here at Podstock. You guys are amazing. I am so glad that I came last year. And it is just everything that I hoped it can be. And I know that this time it'll be that again. So thank you very much for coming today.